We all have this common memory. You're roaming around carelessly in an RPG game, see a chest and happily rush towards it, thinking what precious treasures might be waiting for you inside. Turns out, it was teeth. Teeth were waiting for you, and now the chest has grown arms and legs, chasing you while you run for your life. What you just heard was the description of a mimic, and what you're about to watch now is the complete history of mimics in video games, and maybe a little outside of it. So if you're interested in this kind of stuff, I appreciate any form of support, even as small as hitting the like button and subscribe. Thank you. Mimic was first introduced in D&D games with Gary Gygax's Monster Manual. The idea was simple: a monster designed as a normal object, usually a chest, waiting for the player to fall into its trap. If you did, the punishment was your hand or weapon getting stuck in the mimic's mouth. It was surprising, but not that powerful. The first appearance of a mimic chest in a video game, however, is from Dragon Quest III 1988 with a character called Cannybucks. Pretty similar to the D&D version, you would simply encounter Cannybucks in a turn-based fight. So instead of getting ambushed by the mimic and needing to fight right away, you would have a turn-based encounter. The first actual real-time mimic, one that catches you off guard and forces you to fight instantly, comes from Landstalker 1992. Throughout the years, a lot of games had their own depictions of the thing, which we will get to later, but mimics truly peaked with the game most of you know them from, Dark Souls 1. The design was perfected here, unique movements were added so you can wobble while running aggressively to guarantee your future nightmares, and they gave it a shit ton of HP and damage attack, which wasn't there before, so you'd know how serious this is. You wouldn't respect the mimic if it could be killed in 2 seconds. That's not scary, that's just surprising. But again, we will get to that later. The first ever D&D mimic had a simple design, an object with a mouth to get the player's hand or weapon, but no visible teeth or tongue. The pseudopod was your only threat, attacking while you don't have your weapon to defend yourself. Also remember that the chest was only one of the designs. Mimic could be anything, and as we see later, they will be. The teeth and tongue were added later in the next D&D manuals to make them more recognizable, and by the time it made its appearance in video games, it looked like this: a full visible mouth with 2 rows of terrifying teeth, and it had eyes now hidden inside the chest. The mimic animation in Dragon Quest III is actually impressive, but has more of a goofy bratty style rather than a full-blown monster. Landstalker is the point where video game mimic separated its path from D&D mimic by gaining arms and legs. Now the mimics were not just a turn-based enemy anymore. They could actively attack you, but as you see, still goofy and fun. This theme holds up for a long time with games like Dark Cloud and Final Fantasy IX. Okay, Final Fantasy version was a little creepier, but still not exactly dark. Then the goat had to come back again.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
Dragon Quest IV featured trap bugs, which just feels so wrong. But this is the first sign of a tone shift, getting away from the fun theme and becoming more serious with each change. Then eventually, as I said before, Dark Souls 1 finally perfected the design with long pale arms and legs, the fast movements, and how it can entrap you before the fight begins if you're not careful. The beautiful thing about Dark Souls design is that it employs both the game and D&D mechanics at the same time. The mimic tries to catch you first, then starts attacking in real time. As I said earlier, in the OG D&D manual anything could be a mimic, and that's exactly where video game devs went. We have wall mimics from Enter the Gungeon, which is kinda creepy with the way it tries to lick you. We have also Door Lord, which is just an ordinary boss, but the game considers it as a door mimic. We got NPC mimics such as Vendor Mimic from Dead Cells and Grub Mimics from Hollow Knight. Speaking of Hollow Knight, I think the award of the most messed up mimic goes to this game for having a self mimic. As if Deepness wasn't scary enough, you had to witness yourself shapeshifting to a monster. But they can be really anything, starting from small objects to an entire room being a mimic. It's also worth mentioning that in Nioh, the chests aren't mimic themselves, but rather a hiding place for the mimic inside it. What's more interesting is that the easiest way to defeat this game's mimics is by becoming a mimic yourself, using gestures and repeating exactly what they do. There are 3 levels to fear. It's fear of the known, like being scared of a tiger. Fear of the unknown, like the darkness. You don't fear the darkness, you fear what could be inside it. And then there's the fear of the known unknown, like if you get into a dark forest famous for its tigers. True horror is when you know something's about to happen, but don't know exactly when or how. That's the whole psychology behind the mimics. The first one catches you off guard. It's not about scaring you, it's about building a setup, a backstory. You were trying to open a chest, the room was safe so you dropped your guard, and now an abomination is devouring you. Regardless of the outcome, what happens next is you turning into a paranoid scared little man who gulps whenever he sees a chest. One trauma is enough to change the genre of a game. Something that used to make you happy, now makes you scared. And you know the best part? You have to fight it. You can't go on about your business without checking every single chest. What if something valuable was in it? And sometimes the game rewards you even more for killing the mimic, like in Dead Cells. The item you tried to buy will drop from the mimic but with 2 tiers higher, so you willingly choose to get scared over and over. And every time the chest will turn out to be not a mimic, you get more scared of the odds that are skyrocketing. Honestly, this is art. This is the true embodiment of gameplay actively creating immersion, and they designed it in a way that your brain does most of the job itself. Who can scare you better than yourself? That's all for now. If you enjoyed, I appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Is there a different video game element you want to know more about? Tell me in the comment section and I'll make a video about it. And as always, don't you dare go hollow.